Hey boys and girls, Scotty the Redneck Canadian here. Welcome to my channel, Scotty's Homestead University, where I try not to swear and offend liberals. Anyways, today is the 12th of February. I declared victory about a month ago. The solar just works. There's about 20 days on either side of December 21st where it's really dark. And not only is it really dark, but we get lake effect clouds where I'm at. I'm kind of east of the Mackinac Bridge. And every morning it looked like this at like 9 o'clock in the morning. And then by 10:30, when the solar panels were going to start cranking, when you started moving into that solar peak hours, it clouded over. So, yeah, there was days where I literally got like 600 watts out of that entire array. So, but I made it happen. Anyway, it's not even a problem, so I'll give you like a little update. We'll take a look at the tablet here, and then I'm going to talk about refrigeration and how I made it happen, because there were days when I literally only got 600 watts. All right, so as you can see, wherever there's like a change in the color, that means that the batteries were full. But sometimes, like days like yesterday, it didn't quite change color because I turned on the water heater or I used something before they got completely full. But if we go back, getting full batteries every day. So the whole last month was like not even a problem. So, and you know, when you got days like this where you can see like the darker blue is way bigger, that means I could have made like way more electricity. You can see here, I did 14.66 kilowatt hours on that day there. But that's work to actually like use that much electricity so that they produce it. But what I'm running into now is I've got to change my my refrigeration deal over to my spring, summer, and fall refrigeration deal, because it's going to get warm out. So let me show you what I got going. So recall, I switched to this small refrigerator here. On days like today where I know I'm going to have lots and lots of sun, I actually turn the breaker on and it's actually working as a refrigerator. But for most of the last 2 months, I've just used it as an ice box because it's been cold. You can see it's 15 degrees out and it's like 10 o'clock in the morning. But that is going to change in the next day or so, and we're going to end up with highs in the high 30s and low 40s. But what I've been doing is every morning when I get up and fill the wood stove, you know, the chickadees, they're not even afraid anymore. You guys are like my little proletarians, huh? Yeah, you're not even afraid. Anyway, so I've got 4 of these gallon jugs, and essentially I've been putting them outside because, you know, dude, it got down to like negative 20 for a couple of days. Anyways, I've just been swapping those out and using this as an ice box. And then for frozen food, I keep it all back in the freezer in the barn, except for, you know, if I got meat and stuff like that for a couple of days. I brought it up and I put it underneath this the big Weber grill there, just because it's an awesome grill. It's almost $4,000 grill, but it's really, really bad on propane if it's like just one person. So, I mean, it's awesome if you want to cook a half a pig and whatever. So I've just been using that to protect my food from disservice dog here or whatever other animals might want to come around, although he kind of takes care of them. And I've just been using that smaller grill. So, yeah, that's what I've been doing. And of course, you know, when it's minus 20 out, the freezer in the back doesn't need to run. So everything back there is frozen and we're all good to go. However, I'm going to have to make this changeover. So, let me get my, my poop in a group here and get dressed, and I'll show you what I got going on back there. All right. And just as a little aside, yeah, he likes to lay in the way, but I get it. It's a tiny cabin. Oh, and look, I actually finished my kitchen. Anyway, except for this, but that's getting there. But as an aside, okay, because it's getting warmer, that's not just going to cause a problem for what I've been doing for my hunker down refrigeration. It's also going to cause a problem for my hot water, right? Because recall, I'm heating that 8 gallons of water on there, and then I'm using this controller here with the pump that's back there and the heat exchanger, and that's how I'm getting my hot water. But as it warms up, I'm not going to be blasting the wood stove, and that's going to mean, you know, and I'm probably going to shower more often because I'm going to be working outside and I'm going to want to shower more often. So I'm going to have to use excess solar to heat. So I'll do another video. I've done videos on how this all works, but I'm going to automate this a little bit more. I've been doing a little bit of research and some thinking on, what's up, dude, on what kind of control circuit that I want to make for that, because I want to make it so that the batteries need to be full in order for it to automatically do it, but then I want a manual override, which is what I have here. And then when I finish this cabinetry, obviously right now we got a problem because the pressure relief valve is not hooked up to the drain. That needs to happen. So anyway, this right here is the breaker that goes out to the barn where the freezer is. So obviously that needs to be on. This is the switch for the big inverter. So right now, power save is off, which means that it's just on. When power save is on, it sends a small burst of electricity out every 3 seconds, searching for a load, and then it'll turn itself on. So that plays into my thing. That big inverter takes, again, 86 watts just sitting there when it's on. But I'm making bread right now, and yeah, I mean, I don't know. Somebody made some comment on a community group yesterday that, well, they knew somebody who did solar, and he said he couldn't even watch 2 movies without, I mean, dude, I'm making bread in a bread maker. I got this running. I mean, it just works. So anyway, all right, that breaker's obviously on. Let's go back and make our adjustments, and I'll show you what I got going on the freezer back. Yeah, so the other thing with the hot water is that I've got the mini split. So on days like today, as much as I don't mind doing firewood, I do like having 4-year-old dry firewood. That's a big tip, dude. Dry your firewood for several years. Don't just cut it in the fall. You use way less. But yeah, days like today, there's no need for me to even burn wood. If there's sun out, I might as well just use the mini split to heat the cabin during the day, which means I'm gonna need to use solar to heat my hot water tank. So it actually doesn't seem to use very much though. I only had that, I only have half of that element hooked up, so it's only 750 watts. And you know, to get it from, you know, it was like about 100 degrees, 98 degrees or something this morning, and now it's like 120. It really didn't take very long, so I think it's pretty efficient. So anyway, I'm almost up. All right, so I got my freezer out here. As you can see, I try to keep it as full as I can. I'm actually making a trip tomorrow to go pick up a bunch of food, so I'm not that worried about it. And in the wintertime, I mean, it's been like freaking minus 18 degrees. It was so cold in here one day. I wanted to work over here, and I was just like, screw it. It's too cold, because this floor sucked up the cold so bad. Anyway, I try to keep it filled with water, filled with something, with thermal mass, okay? Because that's going to help me the whole rest of the year when this is actually running, okay? And I have it hooked up with this timer here, but we're gonna go through this timer and how we set it so that this thing doesn't run all of the time, and run our batteries down to nothing. All right, okay, I'm back out in my barn here. It's nice and warm-ish. Yeah, I know I got a mess. I gotta fix my sawmill and put it all back together, and whatever, I got lots of stuff to do. But for right now, I'm making you this video. So, all right, I know that here the sun transit, the highest point is 1225. Right now we have about 3.5 hours of solar peak in the coming up in the next month. So that's like February's number going into March. So that's about an hour and 45 minutes. So I'm just going to round it off, and I'm going to turn this on at 10:15. I'm going to turn it off at 2:15, right? So we're going to go back from the solar transit an hour and 45 minutes, and we're going to go ahead from the solar transit an hour and 45 minutes. So I have this. So we're all set up here. We're on at 10:15. You hit program again. We're off at 2:15. And then you can program 8 different things into this, but we don't need to use any of them except for the first one. Okay, and then you can see it's 10:37. So that's going to turn us on in the solar peak only. Okay, and then let's go out and hook this up and talk about how it's going to work. Okay, we've got our timer plugged in to the wall, and we've got our freezer plugged into our timer. This is important. Set your freezer at the highest possible level or setting so that it freezes harder, because right now, you know, we've only got that 3.5, 4 hours of solar peak time. So we want to make sure that everything in here stays cold as it gets warmer. Okay, and then as we progress through the spring into the summer, you need to go back and you need to adjust this, okay, because we're going to have almost 6.5, 7 hours of solar peak time. And when that happens, of course, it's going to be warmer out, right? In July, this thing's going to need to run because it's going to be, you know, 90 degrees outside. And so we open up our window to coincide with the beginning and the ending of our solar peak hours for the month. And then, of course, you close it back up because it's not going to need to run as much in October into November. And then December, January, February, it shouldn't need to run. In December and January here anyways, it doesn't need to run at all. And you know, the nice thing is the further south you are, the more solar peak hours you're going to get. And so even though you can't probably take advantage of the cold like I can up here in northern Michigan, you can still take advantage of the more solar peak hours, so you can run it 12 hours or 12 months out of the year. So all right, that's how you do it. If you got any questions, this worked all last summer. I didn't have any problems whatsoever. Yeah, there's going to be days where we don't get sun, that's going to run a little bit, and it's going to run the batteries down, and you're not going to get a full charge. It's not the end of the world. That's why you properly size your battery bank in your array. So, all right, if you got questions, ask them in the comments. I got it on my phone, so I tend to respond quickly. But all right, till next time, keep your sticks on the ice.